How's it going, gamers? Chongo here, and today I've got a review for you guys, and it's a review of Medal of Honor Warfighter on the PC, so let's get into it. I had played the beta before playing this game, and I was kind of impressed in what they've done with that, and also the graphics on the PC are a lot better from what I remember and what I have seen on the Xbox version, which is obviously a plus. But however, it seems kind of like they buffed that map and they made it really good so that more people would buy the game at the start, which is kind of sad considering that beta showed me that this game could be something really good, and unfortunately it's sort of fallen short of that expectation. Now, the single player for Medal of Honor Warfighter is pretty much what you'd expect a first person single player to be. However, the graphics and CGI are really good. Like, I think that's because of the engine that they've used. It looks really impressive, and every time you're looking at a cutscene, yeah, you're amazed by it. But the single player experience is held back by many things that were sort of ditched in old games, where you wouldn't really be able to walk past a certain point, or you'd slow down for a certain amount of time to make it more dramatic, and you can't really move in certain situations to make the cutscenes seem better. Lots of these things to me just seem kind of distracting. Like, there was one bit where I had to shoot down a helicopter and I couldn't look away. It was just forcing my screen to look at this thing, whereas I would have felt better to have the ability to look around and then look back at it, so I'm controlling the camera, not something saying, hey, look at this. You can't look away, this is all you have to see. There were, however, some good parts in the single player campaign that I found. For example, the breach and clear mechanic that you have seen in other games. This one's a bit different because it rewards you for getting headshots, and once you've got a certain amount of headshots, usually it's 4, you unlock the next breach. However, the breaches aren't really changing much. All it really changes is how you pretty much bash the door in. So this would be whether you break through the door with a shotgun or a crowbar or anything like that. So although it's a cool feature to have to unlock these, it doesn't really change the gameplay or anything. It's just awesome to have to unlock certain things and get better breaches. Now, the storyline follows the normal things that storylines in first-person shooters try to do nowadays, and that's to not tell a story from start to beginning, but go backwards, forwards, and all over the place while trying to tell it. But this seems to go way too fast and just all over the place, even more to an extent than any other first-person shooter I've seen that tries to tell a story with flashbacks and all this, and it just gets really confusing, and you're not really sure where you are half the time, because you only really get a title screen that tells you if it's before or after, and that is it. So you've got to try and remember what's happening, and yeah, it just all seems really hard to try and follow a story when it's taking you backwards, forwards, and yeah, all over the place. I feel as if the single player could have been put to better use, and maybe not have included a single player, or just included a separate mode that would be like a squad-based missions or something like that, that didn't really need a storyline. But yeah, they have included single player, which I think might have been better to either work on the multiplayer more or add a completely different mode that was like co-op or something like that. Also, the single player sometimes will drop you out and change your resolutions, as well as freeze up and just crash. Now, moving over into multiplayer. Multiplayer is pretty much the main purpose of this game. I can't really see anyone buying it to play the single player, and it really is quite fun. However, there is a lot of things that sort of stop it from reaching a really good higher standard of multiplayer, and these are the bugs and glitches, and the fact that it just isn't as refined as what you'd expect a game to be when it is released. Like, to me, this still seems like it's in beta form, because there are so many glitches. For example, there was one map where you were chosen to spawn and fall back, but your spawn point was 10 meters in the air, and you are out of bounds when you spawn in this area, so you have to run for 5 seconds, I think it is, or something like that, and you just drop dead. And this was happening to everyone on my team, and I just couldn't believe that a game that was released had something this big. It seems to me that either the testing team hasn't really put their effort in to try and find all these kind of glitches, or maybe they should have had a beta with everything, considering that, obviously, to me, that seems like a pretty big flaw, and something that was created multiple times, because it's happened to me on many different maps. It's kind of weird that they haven't gone that extra mile to do that, and I personally think that they should have spent a lot more time on this game, maybe released it a couple of months later. I feel as if they didn't really want to, because they thought the later they release it, then they'd have to compete more with Call of Duty. Now, with that being said, the multiplayer is still really fun, and I will continue to play it. It just isn't really as refined as something you'd expect. So if you're someone who doesn't really like bugs and glitches in games, you're not really going to like this game because of how unrefined it is. I can't compare my PC version experience with the Xbox 360 version because I don't have that version, but it would be interesting to see if the Xbox version suffers the same problems, and if it does, I personally am glad that I did get it on PC, considering that I only paid $50 for it, as opposed to buying it for like $80 to $90 on Xbox. So if you plan on getting this game, don't get it for the single player, as I said before, because it's something you most likely won't really enjoy and it'll feel just like a chore trying to beat it. But if you are going to buy it for multiplayer, it is pretty fun like I said before. However, it could have been a lot better and it had the potential to be a lot better. It's fallen short due to the bugs and glitches that are currently in the game. Also, I did a review of the multiplayer beta that was released for the Xbox 360 a while back, and that contains more in-depth information about the multiplayer. This was more of a review of the whole game and what my thoughts are on it. So if you liked it, give it a like, and if you've got any comments about what you think about Medal of Honor Warfighter, put them below, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.